Good evening, participants. Respected Professor Maitri Chaudhary, the President of Indian Sociological Society, esteemed Professor Swada Prasad, the Secretary, and distinguished speaker today, Professor B.B. Mohanty, and our speakers, Professor Nagla, who is going to speak day after tomorrow, Professor Nagaraj Gundamada, he will speak tomorrow, and Vishal Jadhav, he will speak on 5th, then Irudarajan on 6th. And dear RC Advisory Committee members and Management Committee members and my beloved participants and friends, good evening to you all. It gives me immense pleasure in welcoming you and inviting you for this 5-day online workshop on academic writing and publication skills, scheduled the period between December 2 to 6, 2024. The topic of the lecture today is the art of academic writing in social sciences by eminent speaker Professor B.B. Mohanty. And before we talk about Professor Mohanty, I would like to say a few words because there is an overwhelming response for this workshop. Till 3 o'clock, we have received 907 responses, and mostly the researchers, students, and faculty members. My experience as a student, as a scholar, and teacher, and administrator realized that the learning opportunity or the knowledge must reach to all, and the expertise should energize the young scholars and needy scholars. And also my experience in West, that also shows that there are a lot of short courses which may help them to equip with battery of skills. In that respect, being the convener of RC-03, I want to conduct this meaningful event, which is the need of the hour. Personally, I welcome you all the resource persons who have immediately accepted our invitation, extended cooperation for conducting this workshop. One appeal to all the youngsters. We are all working hard to acquire knowledge. Whatever may be in the field of specialization, strengthening your skill, exploring in your own field without compromising your own interest. At this juncture, I proudly say that Indian Sociological Society assigned this task as a convener of RC-03 4 years back, though my field is different. However, there are two important mantras. One is acquiring professional skill. Second one is gaining scholarly publication. These are all the two important things one should take care in that field and strengthen our professional association, Indian Sociological Society. And with these few words, I would like to say a few words about the speaker, Professor Mohanty. Professor Mohanty, you know that as a sociological fraternity, we know that Professor Mohanty is a Dean and Faculty of Social Sciences, Pondicherry University, and editor of Sociological Bulletin. He has 27 years of experience, and as a member, he worked in Berkeley Institute of Political Science.
You can skip it. You can skip it. We can save some time.
Okay. Then he is a recipient of the Indo-Canadian Shastrian Fellowship and other awards. He has very good publications, and certainly he has always helped us in the RC-03 with good guidance, so that we are organizing this workshop, and I request Professor Mohanty to energize the young minds of the sociological budding scholars of Sociological Society. Thank you, Professor. Over to Professor Mohanty.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Marutugutti, for your kind words. And at the outset, I am thankful to Professor Marutugutti, who is the convener of RC-03 Economy and Society, for organizing this workshop and giving me an opportunity to share my ideas with the young scholars and young researchers in the discipline of sociology. So as you know, I am going to talk about the art of academic writing in social sciences. So I will speak for about 35 to 40 minutes, and another 20 minutes we can have some discussion. I will leave exactly at 7 because I have another meeting. I have to migrate from this link to another link. So please remember. So anyway, the art of academic writing in social sciences. You know, all of you must be. This is what I am going to present here. This is based on my experience as a researcher and also my experience as the managing editor of Sociological Bulletin. Are you able to hear me? Okay.
Yes,
Yes,
hearing,
sir.
hearing, Professor
Okay,
Mohan.
okay. So you can come to the first slide.
Yes.
So this is actually what I am going to present here. This is based on my personal experience and all as a researcher in sociology, discipline of sociology, as well as the managing editor of Sociological Bulletin. You know, this is a kind of a topic which will require series of lectures, but I'll try to minimize to or limit it to 30 to 40 minutes time, and we can take some questions for discussion. And all of us, when we start writing, we find it very difficult. Writing, we find it very difficult. You know, we may think in many ways, many things, but when you come to the writing part, it becomes very difficult. Where to start? How to start it? So very difficult kind of things. But once you acquire that skill or acquire that art, then it becomes easier and you enjoy also writing and publishing. So this is a kind of job which everybody finds it difficult in the initial stage, and it require actually there is no ready-made method or ready-made kind of ways anybody can suggest you that you follow this trick and you can write it. It's nothing like that, but you have some of the basic things are there which I will share with you. It may be useful for you, or if you ask some questions, I can answer those questions. So now I will go to my the PowerPoint slides. The first slide. This is not the first one. Next one. Okay. So now, what is academic writing? You know, academic writing means we usually know it's a kind of in a form of monograph or journal article, book chapter, and this is the kind of primary medium through which knowledge produced through research is communicated and discussed. What we actually do in our research, what we find in our research, we try to publish it in a form of monograph, journal article, or book chapters. And it is different from other kind of writing. Sometimes also we write for newspapers, we write for magazines, we also write for other kinds of forums, other kind of places. But those writings are entirely different because this is there we do not follow any disciplinary kind of trainings where actually we have some theoretical concepts or perspectives or methodology. Those kind of things we do not follow because we write for the general public. These are kind of general writings where actually the audience is they are not drawn from a kind of a sociology background. They are in general they are kind of a layman, so they can easily follow your writings, and those writings are usually published in newspapers or magazines or in some other places. So this is the kind of difference. This is the kind of difference that this is a kind of common means very all of you must be knowing it. This is not nothing special I am telling. So for the next question actually I am asking, where does it have in common with other forms of writing? There are also some commonalities. There are also some commonalities between writing a kind of monograph, journal article, and also between between the other forms of writing, general writings. So point is actually, you know, we have but there are some similarities. As I told you, there are some commonalities, and the commonality that the writing is a craft and skill that is learned and honed through practice, which includes reading. This is actually essential component of writing in any form, whether in monograph or article or for newspaper or for magazines. You know, it requires a kind of a skill, a different kind of craft, which is actually learned and the practice through reading. So therefore, this is a kind of but there is some kind of a difference in form of style and the presentation. But basically, the common thing is that we need to have a kind of a minimum skill and minimum kind of a craft, which includes reading. You need to read it actually before writing, and a lot of readings are always essential before proceeding for writing. These are the some common things I am telling you. So now, next slide, I will tell you that what is the importance of reading for academic writings. You must know that people actually nowadays, I find many of the students, they find some easier shortcut method how to skip reading and come directly to writing. But this is not possible. You need to read a lot, because through reading, yeah, you will grasp, you will acquire that skill and craft. It is a kind of reading is a kind of mapping of your research topic or theme. You are here actually, you are familiarizing yourself with the existing knowledge about the phenomenon you want to research. You are trying to familiarize yourself, and you do not know, because there are a lot of things are written on the topic you are or theme you are researching on, or you are trying to writing. And actually, in doing so, you are acknowledging the work of other scholars, which is a fundamental intellectual obligation in social research. When you read others, we have to acknowledge that this is the kind of ideas or this is the kind of findings others have established. And there actually we try to situate our own ideas, our own position in relation to others' work. So by reading others' work, we try to actually, we do acknowledge others' work, and also try to see that where we can position ourselves in relation to others' work. And also, we are trying to actually here to develop, build our analysis. When you are reading, I always tell that don't read actually only the abstract or few lines. You have to read the entire article or entire book, not that in between you leave. It involves a kind of a serious reading. When we are reading newspaper, sometimes also we remain unmindful. We'll read some of the lines and some of the headings we read and leave. So that is not correct. But in case of these kind of writings, for academic writings, the reading involves intensive reading, wide reading, and critical reading, and active reading. You cannot read something while going to sleep. We can read a novel while going to sleep, but we cannot read a serious article or some kind of serious research chapter while going to sleep, or while in a kind of leisurely you cannot read, because we have to apply our mind. And I also, this is my experience, when I read an article or any kind of book, I try to read in fast reading. I go by the author. I don't question the author. But when I find that this book is interesting, this article is interesting, I make the second reading, where I try to find faults with the author, find the weaknesses, and try to develop where there are gaps, and how I can raise some questions or issues which is not being addressed in this article or in this kind of research piece. So that is what it can be done only when you read very critically and very intensively, and you have to read it very actively. And finally, when you are reading, you are also learning about writing. You are studying the form, style, technique, language, structure, and not the least always of reasoning and discussing. All these things actually you come to know when you read somebody's article. All of us, we have learned the art of writing or the craft of writing through reading. When you read others, you can know also, your language will improve, your style of presentation will improve, and you will also know that how to structure your writings, and also sometimes your ways of reasoning, and how to discuss many things you will learn. Not that after reading one or two articles, you have to read. You have to be a kind of a voracious reader. You should read any number of articles available on the topic you are researching, or on the topic you are writing, or around that topic. So that is what actually it is. It is essential component. That is importance of reading for academic writing. Without reading, without extensive reading or intensive kind of reading, you cannot actually read a kind of, you cannot write a serious piece of article. So reading is the first important component of writing. So this you must remember. So then I'll come to the next part of the presentation slide. That is, can you move the slide, please? Okay. So when we are, as I told you, when we are publishing something academically, academic writings we are making, this is all research based. This is all research based. What research we do, we try to publish it in a form of paper or book or whatever may be. So actually, this is based on research, some analysis. So where from these research ideas come from? Where do research ideas come from? As I told you, research ideas come from critical reading of literature. When we read critical literature, from there also we get some ideas. Sometimes the circumstances, experiences, and interaction with people around us also give some ideas. When we experience something, or when you experience at home, for example, a girl is experiencing that how she is being discriminated by the parents compared to the boys. So her brothers. So therefore, actually, based on that experience, she can develop the idea that how there is a kind of gender discrimination, gender disparity is there. And not only that, actually around in the family, in the society, larger society, or in many other kind of circumstances, you also develop the habit of you develop the inquisitiveness, how to get some new ideas, because you come, you must be you must not have actually that idea in your mind, but when you come across such kind of experiences, so naturally it will prompt you, or it will make you to think very seriously about this topic. So that will lead to some research kind of questions. Then turning ideas to researchable questions. This is the most difficult kind of thing. When you observe lot of things, or you experience lot of things, but how to turn those things to researchable questions, that actually can be done only when we relate with the kind of available literature, available readings, and we have to also raise questions which can be researched, which is worth investigating. We cannot raise questions which cannot be researched, for which you cannot find materials or data or information. So you have to raise questions for which data are available, information are available, or which you can analyze within a limited span of time or limited funding. Those kind of things you have to see, and then you have to raise questions which can be worth investigating or worth researching. So these are the kind of things which I am telling you, but some of the things you can learn only through your experience, only through reading and interacting with your colleagues, or with your teachers, with other kind of researchers. So now I will come to the next slide. What are the basic elements of academic writing? This is what I always feel. What I am telling you, this is actually based on my experience. Anything you write for publication, whether it is a newspaper, whether it is a journal or book or anything, no publishing house or no publisher will publish your piece unless it is original. Unless it is original, it must be original. It must not have been written by anybody else, or you have not copied somebody's idea. It is original, and it is something new. It's something novel. So therefore, the publisher will show interest. You are submitting an article to a journal, to Sociology Bulletin, to Economic Political Weekly, or to Contributions of Indian Sociology, anywhere. The editor and the reviewers, they will look for the originality, the newness, the novelty of the writing. That what is the new ideas or new thing this paper is offering or contributing. That is the most important kind of thing. First important point. And second thing, logic. When you write actually about 8,000 words in the case of paper, or about in a kind of book about 1 lakh words. So at that time, actually, we always look for the analysis, where actually we make, it must follow some logic. The most important element of research is logic. If analysis should be logical, and writings also should flow a kind of a logical order. So it must be logical. Logic is an essential component of research. So essential component of inquiry. Once you have logical kind of analysis, then it will make it more meaningful. It will make it more meaningful, and it will be accepted. Then the third thing is that the analysis must not be very general. It must be very focused. Your writings must be focused, because you raise some questions, you raise some research questions, or you raise some objective. You have set some objectives. So your entire writing must be focused and limited to that objectives or limited to the research questions. Not that very general things you tell, for which actually there is no analysis, there is no data available. So therefore, actually, you have to. What is this? Some pictures are drawn. Okay. So then it must be properly focused. It must be properly focused. Then the next element is clarity. Whatever you write, it must be unambiguous. The English may not be very sophisticated if you cannot make it. If you write a simple English, it is also okay, but it must convey the clear message. And you remember one thing, when we write, we try to identify appropriate words for the proper expression. You must find a word which actually catches the root of its expression. We should not actually use words which is ambiguous, which may have a different kind of connotations or different kind of meanings. So we have to be very careful while using words. And you must remember that research article is a kind of a short piece, about 8,000, 6,500 to 8,000 words, or little more in some cases, some journals. And book is about 1 lakh words. So here actually we must try to economize our words. You cannot write a kind of very lengthy piece, but very lengthy book. No publisher will come forward to publish, or no journal will publish very lengthy articles. So therefore, you have to economize the words and try to draw or try to use words which catches the root of the expression, and through a kind of minimal kind of use of words, you can express yourself, express your ideas. Then the last element is coherence. Of course, the coherence is also no less important, because when the reader starts after reading the first paragraph of your paper, automatically it will prompt him to go to the next paragraph, and also it automatically will provoke him to go to the next page, because you have a coherence. If you have a coherence, automatically the reader will travel with you. He will go with you. He will turn after the pages and pages. But if the coherence is lacking, so then the reader may feel that no, this is not a kind of what he is telling now. It is something in the next paragraph, something else. There is no link. There is no kind of connections. So therefore, it is not a kind of a good piece. So you have to ensure that the entire writing is coherent. All pages, all paragraphs are interconnected. There is a kind of a proper coherence and proper kind of a linkage. So you must remember it. Then the next slide is, these are the elements in academic writing. You know it. I'm just refreshing kind of your memory. So elements in academic writing. I am not. Sometimes I will tell you many things. After some more things, let me finish what the slides are to say. Elements in academic writing. We begin with we make some kind of research questions, collect data, follow some methodology. Then we try to analyze and then discuss, then arrive at a kind of a theory. It actually theory is a kind of an important element of research. Mostly in when we have a kind of a hypothesis, we want to test some hypothesis, then we have to develop kind of a theory. It's a kind of in most of the quantitative research, we need to have a kind of a theoretical backup, not necessarily in qualitative research also theoretical kind of things which may be useful, but basically theory actually is built. Theory is important. Theory is important when we are developing hypotheses. Hypotheses are generally drawn from theory, and analysis actually is best focused on hypothesis. Then we try to link with the theory. Whatever research questions we raise in the beginning, that we follow and that we keep in mind, or objectives we set, that you keep in mind, and accordingly we will collect data, go for analysis and discussion, and then try to arrive at a kind of linkage with the theory. Analysis, as I have written here, a systematic investigation of regularities and pattern in relation to social phenomena and social problems, as well as their causes and consequences. always in our social science research, we look for some regularities and patterns. It is not like kind of accuracy or those kind of in the physical and natural sciences, whatever is followed, we may not be that accurate, but we look for some pattern and some regularities. And in discussion, actually, we try to see that is a kind of an argument about the significance of the regularities and patterns that have been identified under causes and consequences or ways of thinking about this. This is actually we try to build up the argument. We try to argue that how this analysis is meaningful. Then, of course, theory, as I told you, perspectives and concepts that enable the building of explanation and understanding of regularities and patterns in social phenomena. So, because when we are writing something in sociology, we have some disciplinary training, we have some theoretical kind of understanding. There are some theories available. So, we try to see that how far our analysis, our discussion can be made more meaningful by connecting with some available theories. So, otherwise, it will be as if a kind of it will not be so meaningful and it will not be so rich. So we have to make it connected with the available theory, and so that it will be more meaningful and sociologically it will make some sense. So now with this, I'll come to the more practical part of it. Can you go to the next slide, please? So the structure of academic writing. When we write a paper, I will focus more on journal paper. That paper you write or try to publish in some journals. I am focusing on that because it is most of you at this stage aim for a kind of paper which can be published in a standard journal. So the structure of the writing of a paper. These are the different parts I have classified. What I have actually given you, the distribution I have given you, you may not necessarily follow this exactly. There may be some variation, something, but this is a tentative kind of idea which I feel it may be useful for you. First, actually, any paper should have introduction, and then a review of literature and theoretical framework, data and methods, analysis and conclusion. So then you have analysis and discussion, then conclusion, then notes and references. So these are the kind of divisions actually. So when you write introduction, total length, you see the total length of the paper, it should not exceed approximately 10% of the length words your paper is covering. If it is 8,000 words, it should be less than 800 words introduction, because introduction should not be very lengthy introduction. If it is a lengthy introduction, then you will lose space for the important part of the paper. So literature literature review or theoretical framework, it may be 20%, it can be less also. Data and methods, sometimes 5%, it can be to 10%. So this is a rough kind of distribution. This is a kind of rough distribution I have given you. Then analysis and discussion, this is the important part of your paper. So that should take half of your half of the length of your paper. Then conclusion, another 10%. Then notes and references, maybe 5%. Sometimes it may exceed. There may be some changes, but this is the overall structure I am telling you. If you keep in mind, it will be useful, or it will guide you actually how to proceed further. So this is what I wanted to tell you. Next slide, please. So then the introduction part, I will explain this thing. The introduction part. Introduction part, what you need to do, you keep these points in mind. Present the topic of research or discussion. You have to, because introduction should not exceed 10%. It should be very precise and good introduction, because that is actually that is the face of your paper. Once the introduction is good, then the researcher, the reader, or the reviewer, or the editor will read the rest of the paper. Otherwise, from the introduction itself, he or she will reject it, and they may not actually process it further. So therefore, you have to be very careful while writing the introduction. Present the topic of research and discussion. Tell the reader why it is worthy of attention in relation to a specific academic field. why it is important? Why do you think that your topic or your theme or your kind of idea, why it is worthy of attention in relation to specific academic field? For example, somebody is working on gender studies and he has a separate question, independent something he want to do on patriarchy or some atrocities of women. So we have to tell that why it is so important. Then you can highlight that given the number of rising trend of atrocities on women across the globe or something like that, how it is an important field and it is not actually received, it has not received enough attention in a sociological literature. For example, I am telling you, and present a specific context of your research and discussion. Specific context, you cannot be very broad and very kind of large scope. You cannot allow actually. You should not have topic should not have a kind of a theme, should not have a kind of vast scope. It should have a kind of very limited kind of context where you can relate. Then tell the reader how you are going to approach the topic of your research question and why you have chosen this approach. Because as I told you, you have to always follow logic. Everywhere you have to explain and why this, why that, how it is. So that is what actually you have to explain, and you have to say, you have to write from beginning. You have to tell the reader and give the reader an overview of the different parts of your essay. No surprises after the introduction, because in the introduction itself, what we used to do, that we'll tell that the rest of the paper is divided into 3 or 4 parts, while first part tells this, second part presents this, third part documents that, fourth part draws the conclusion. So like that, we have to make it very clear. So reader gets an idea what is the paper is all about. About the structure of the paper, the reader will get an idea that these are the kind of different parts of the paper, and these parts are dealing with these different kind of analysis or different kind of presentations. So therefore, this is important kind of thing. And always, as I told you, a good introduction is short and sweet. And if the introduction is good, if it is short, naturally, actually, it will provoke the reader to read the rest of the pages, and it will carry a kind of good impression to see the rest of the paper. So now the next kind of thing. Next page. Then review of literature review and theoretical framework. Here actually you can give little more space, 20% of the total words you can devote here, and try to see that how best you can sometimes it may take also less, it may take also 25%. So here actually an overview of the existing research, frontline knowledge about your research theme, topic, and you have to tell the reader what is already known and established about the topic. You are researching on some topic or some area, you have to highlight, you have to indicate what is already known and established. That actually you have to tell the reader that this is already known and established. I am not telling, these are already established. So that also must be told, that you are acknowledging, you are telling that you have, through your scholarship, you are telling that this is the these are the debates, or these are the kind of arguments already made, and what is known and what remains to be discovered. Point is here that what is already known, what others have already shown, already shown, and what remains to be discovered. What is the thing which is remaining, which you are trying to discover, or you are trying to investigate, or you are trying to present. So that is what actually more important. You have to make it very clear the existing literature says that this is the position, or these are the debates, these are the disputes, or this is the kind of key arguments. And but however, these other things which you are trying to say, they are not being they are not answered. So therefore, hence there is a need to ask, to answer, to investigate these questions, or these aspects, or these issues, questions. So the literature review should be connected to help you develop a theoretical framework which can be defined as follows. A conceptual perspective set of specific theoretical concepts that are going to guide, inform the analysis or discussion of the theme at hand, or a body of empirical data or research findings. through this review of literature, you will also in a position to develop a kind of a theoretical framework and also some conceptual framework. Many So many more things actually, many more new insights and ideas you can get from the review of literature. Therefore, actually, always it is encouraged. You should read everything whatever is available on and around your topic. Sometimes the students they ask that shall I review 60 articles, 60 books, 15 books. That is actually there is no such kind of number. Whatever is available in the world relating to your topic, you must cover them. You must cover them. You must see them. You should not actually hide anything, or you should not tell. You should not keep the reader in a kind of darkness that you have read something you are not telling, but you are telling that these are your ideas. So therefore, review of literature is the most important component. There actually you get an opportunity to sharpen your ideas, to put forth your questions and establish your main points of inquiry. So then the next slide, data and methods. Data and methods. This actually, as I told you, it should take approximately 5% of the space, 5% of space, not more than that. Sometimes also we can write also in footnotes, endnotes, whenever there is very limited thing to say, to avoid space. So you have to tell your readers about data, how you have gathered them and how you have analyzed them. These things you have to very precisely you have to tell without wasting much space, without taking much space. Very precisely you have to tell. If you have drawn some samples, how you have collected them, that also you have to tell. And your data sources and methods of analysis you have to tell, and also you have to highlight basically the selection of village, or selection of samples, or selection of the community, whatever means. Next slide we have to complete. Yeah, the analysis and discussion, and this is the most important part. This is by far the most important part of an essay. It is where you show your level of academic skill in terms of analyzing and discussing a specific theme, topic, or body of empirical data. This is the core element of your paper, where you have to show the reader that you have something very substantial to tell. The analysis discussion, in short, presents an argument about a specific theme, body of empirical data as developed through the application of a theoretical framework. Whatever theoretical framework you have followed, within that actually you have to analyze and discuss the discuss the data. Make sure your analysis has a clear guiding thread, and make sure that you are bringing your reader with you from one part of the argument to the next. So you have to see that throughout your analysis there is a kind of a clear-cut guiding thread. There is a kind of thread which is actually connecting your analysis, not that actually it is disjointed. It is independent. They are independent. They are not actually connected. So you have to see that there is a common clear-cut guiding thread which is drawn from your objectives or research questions, which is guiding through and which is actually connecting this research analysis. And through that actually you can actually convince the reader that you have a kind of argument which is very meaningful and which is substantial. And approximately, as I told you, it can take 50% of your space. Then next slide. Next slide, the conclusion. I am skipping some of the things. We can, if a time permits, we can discuss also. Excuse me. And conclusion here, it is actually the last part of your paper. And don't underestimate the power of a good conclusion. You don't think that I have written everything, so I can something I will write in the conclusion part. That is not correct. This is the actually last chance to convince the reader that you have a good point. Here you can bring in important kind of points which you have not, which is drawn from your analysis and which is more meaningful or which is more forceful, and where you can make a kind of distinct point, very distinct point. And a good conclusion does three things. It tells the reader that you have done or you have summarized your argument. It tells the reader what you have done, and that means you present your you summarize your argument here. What you have done in the preceding pages or preceding paragraphs, you summarize very briefly there. Then it reflects on the implications of your argument for how we think about a specific theme or topic. So now actually don't underestimate the power of a good conclusion. As I told you, it's the last chance to convince the reader that you have a good point. And a good conclusion does three things. It tells the reader that you have what you have done. It summarizes your argument and reflects on the implications of your argument for how we think about a specific theme or topic. And it suggests potentially useful avenues for future research. Through your conclusion, you can also indicate what you could not do within the limited span of your research time or limited kind of data, which you can also propose. We can indicate what can be done for the future researchers. So this is what actually I wanted to tell you. The next slide. Next slide, what ethics to be followed. I have already all these things you must remember. Research, there is now all of us, actually all of you must be knowing that all universities are insisting that you should have done a course on ethics. So that it is now, because it was reported that many people are actually following some unethical kind of practices while publishing papers or books. So therefore, these are the minimum ethics we have to follow. That it is you have to see that you are not presenting something which is very repetitive or you have copied from somewhere. It must be new. And fabrication and falsification of data, cooking of data is actually unethical. You collect some data, you are getting some data, and to put it fit into the kind of your framework or your kind of thinking, you are trying to manipulate it or change it. That is also unethical. Then authorship, where actually you have not done any work. Don't claim authorship if you have not done. Whether a guide or student, nobody should claim authorship unless you have done something. So I always insist, if a person has not done more than 50% of the work, so he should not be given the first authorship if it is a joint author paper. So person who has done actually more than 50% of the work, 60 to 70% of the work, he should be given the authorship, first authorship, and second authorship, third authorship, like that you can give. So the PhD supervisors, I must tell, actually they should not claim authorship on the research scholars articles unless they have written the paper. If they have written the paper, they have to give the first authorship to the research scholar and second authorship to the guide. If they have written entirely the things which is based on the data collected by the scholar. So these are the basic ethics we follow, and I know many of us we follow that. Then acknowledgements, if you are doing something, we are borrowing something or something, some idea, something, wherever actually we have to acknowledge that, or you have written something, you have presented somewhere, you have shared with others and taken into account their comments, their suggestions, you must acknowledge them. You must acknowledge them, otherwise it's unethical. Or somebody has helped you in a collection of data, so you have to acknowledge. We cannot give authorship to everybody. Somebody has collected data or somebody has helped us in collection of data. We cannot give authorship to him. Authorship is very precious, and unless somebody is contributing substantially, he or she cannot be the author of the paper. Only it can be actually acknowledged. They can be acknowledged. So whatever we write, we must publish in professional journals and periodicals, not that in other predatory kind of journals, in other kind of places which are actually many people. Actually, I have found some recently in some of these selection committees, we found that some research scholars, they present papers which are published in some other field journals, actually, which is not in our engineering, because some of their friends are there. They are publishing, they are joining there and publishing. Nothing wrong in it. If you have done some work which is very highly interdisciplinary, you can publish that. But better actually, we should publish in some professional journals. Those are also professional journals. But if you are from sociology discipline, it is actually expected you should publish in some reputed standard sociological journals or social science journals. So this is what actually expected, not that actually you publish in some other kind of journals where actually nobody will notice your paper, nobody will notice. When you are devoting time, doing so much of work and wasting your kind of, so much of investment of your time. So you must actually see that your paper is published in good places. It attracts the attention of the other scholars, because when you are writing something, you see that it is cited by others, it should be read by others. That is what we get satisfaction and we get recognition. The politics of research, sometimes what happens, we have also, as a researcher, we have also a lot of scope how to actually explain certain things, our drawbacks, in a kind of more in a different kind of manner. Sometimes we find that our data is actually not adequate, or sometimes we have not included the relevant data. So we acknowledge or we write something that it is the data for this aspect was not available. So therefore, the available data may not actually vitiate the nature of the finding. So that way, actually, if we write in a form of footnotes or endnotes, it will tighten your paper. It will not allow any scope to the reader, to the reviewer, that we are unaware of these things. So these are the things you must keep in mind. Then the next slide. So I must tell you the last part of my presentation. Writing actually is a kind of social process. When you are reading something, it may be a kind of a private affair. When we are writing for somebody or some audience. And when we are writing, it involves actually some kind of the expression of sociological imagination, because whatever our ideas, that actually gets shaped in the context of the others' opinion, others' comments, and others' suggestion in some social kind of context. So it's a kind of sociological imagination, what C. Wright Mill said. So it's a kind of sociological imagination, expression of sociological imagination. When we write something, it is a kind of critical thinking and self-reflection, but it is not a kind of merely personal. When we write, it is profoundly social. We try to share with others, we try to get comments from others. That is actually essential. It's an essential element of research. When we are writing something, it is better to present in some seminars, conferences, share among the experts or scholars, those who are working in the same field. Then it will improve, it will enrich your arguments and enrich your writings, and it will be made more meaningful. Communication triangle: writer, audience, subject matter in interaction. These are the three kind of this is a triangle where you are involved, writer is involved, audience are there, and subject matter. So that's a constant kind of interaction. So through that, actually, the writing is shaped. So writer based to reader based. First, actually, when we write something, we may be writing at our level, but when we publish something, it becomes reader based. Reading sociological text as a way of learning. So always remember, you read some classical kind of classic text or very good writings, which are actually classic works in your field. That will actually give you much scope to learn and to think, and it will give you many insightful ideas. That is what actually we have learned. So I thank you so much. I will stop here. We have a few minutes. I have taken more time. I can address some questions. Unfortunately, the power actually is cut off. But anyway, I'll be happy to answer some questions. Thank you so much for your patient hearing. Thank you.
With regard to
Thank you so much, sir.
the introductory part, yes, the writing style in which you are very briefly you are highlighted about what is academic writing, what are all the important, specifically you are started with the reading and mostly focusing on the structural parts. How much introduction must be there? What is the literature component? And analysis 50%. Like you are writing, the art of writing style or the structure of the writing, which is very much essential. And we are very happy in knowing this. And also, you are concluding with the social process. What we actually, the sociologist, we are all very much interested in looking for the social process, and that aspect which is very much need of the thing. And I'm very happy, and it is open for the questions.
Sir, may I ask a question?
Okay.
Yeah, please.
Sir, my question is, I'm working with a project, and most of the work, which is, during the course of implementation process, most of the things conducted under being a sector head of social development sector, most of the work conducted under my supervision. And what happens, sir? If the project report is published, and not in open as a part of any sociological theory or sociological book, so how to quote those references? Because I am the part of that field work that has been conducted during the due course of implementation process. Another thing is, where you talked about the ethical things, so that the project report, when the project report is published, somewhere I have given the reference ki this has been taken from that project report, but somehow I would like to know, sir, how to quote that, from where I have extracted these things. This is my first question. And sir, in short, you talked about the good generals. So impact factor matters for those good generals. So in a sociological point of view, sir, I have seen, here in India, limited journals are there, of which I have applied so many, if at international level. So they have given very less importance to, or and limited number of social journals are there. So I would like to take comment from you, sir.
Yeah, okay, thank you for your question. The first question was that how to use the data or findings from your study which you have supervised. You know, when if you are writing entirely something new which is different from this report, then you have to draw from that and acknowledge or give the source that this is the thing which was done in earlier study, or you can write also in the earlier study, give the reference, the year and author's name, and we have shown this, we have analyzed like this. Or if you are drawing the conclusion or some part of it, some findings, you have to give the reference to your earlier things, or you can write the source. If you are taking, for example, a set of data, you can draw the table, and below also the table you can write the source, that this is the thing that you can write. So, and whosoever actually was, you have given already authorship to this report, all the names you must cite it, or you can write, what is your name, please? I forgot.
I'm Rajul, Dr. Rajul Pant from Mumbai, Pokhara.
Okay, Rajal Pant. Okay, you can give Pant at all, or you can give also, if it double author, you can give you and others name and 2009 or 2008, something like that you can give. So if you are publishing that earlier report as it is, then no need to give any thing, that you can say that this is the study which you have conducted together during some period of time. Then you need not acknowledge. You just write this. So, but if you are writing something different, which is entirely different from the earlier project, then if you are drawing data or drawing ideas, you have to acknowledge, you have to give the source. And regarding the second question, that there are limited kind of journals, but that is not correct actually. There are some journals in India, of course, not very big list of journals are there, but these journals are also finding very difficult to get good papers. This is my experience. We also struggle to get good papers. If a good paper is there, the editor will run after the author, that how to get it published. So, of course, there are actually international journals, plenty of journals are there, number of journals are there, and very time-bound manner they publish. So that is not the case. If you have a good paper and it is something very substantial and it's new, so definitely you will find a space in India or at international or global level. You will find a place. Don't publish papers in a kind of wrong places or kind of this predatory kind of places where actually it will nobody will read it and it will go as a kind of waste and you will regret afterwards that why did I publish there.
Fine, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Good evening, sir. This is Shruti. It is so nice to hear you after a long time again.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
sir, my question to you is, it is actually a reflection, not a question. So, when you spoke about writing the conclusion, so I understood that how devising the methodology is also very important here, and following the research design, it is how I can extend it to the conclusion. Like for instance, if my research design follows exploratory research, the conclusion shall not be exhaustive, and there might be scope for further implementing researches on that topic that has been studied and the data that I have analyzed first time.
You need not actually talk about the methodological part in conclusion. That is not actually your space will not permit you. You
Okay.
just tell that what are the inferences you are drawing from the analysis you and what is actually how it is related to the kind of your research questions you raise in the beginning or theoretical kind of questions you raise in the beginning. And that is what you have to make it very precise manner. You have to write. You cannot take a kind of number of pages or number of paragraphs to write. It should be actually if it is 8,000, around 5,500 words you can take to write the conclusion part. So, and also you can cite or make a kind of comparative kind of things with other studies or the other kind of at a global level or national level, if anything is available, you can cite that.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Sir, good evening, sir. Myself,
Hello,
Dr.
sir.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, please, tell.
Sir, this is Dr. Kumudri Chandra Panirai from West Bengal Viswabharati. Sir, my question is that, sir, in many paper I have seen that the concepts are not largely analyzed or discussed. Mostly in introduction, literature review are mentioned. But how do we use concept? For example, if someone is working on conversion or democracy, so in many paper the concept are not dealt. So you said in your presentation that concept and literature review must be discussed thoroughly. So
Yeah, when you are actually using these concepts, conversion or something, some other concept you are telling, you must see that what is the discourse available on this concept, available discourse, existing discourse very precisely, and what ultimately you mean by this conversation, conversion. So all these concepts you have to also operationalize. You have to refer to the available discourse. Then you come to the final kind of point at how you are actually operationalizing, what is the framework you are adopting to analyze the data or information you have. So you need to explain this concept either in the form of footnotes or endnotes or in the text itself if there is space available.
okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Myself, Prakash TN from Bangalore, City University, Bangalore. My question is how to applying the theoretical background of selection topic.
I am always telling theory is not, without theory also you can publish a paper. You must have seen many papers in EPW, in other places. Without theory, just like that, you can publish a paper.
Yes,
Point is that actually sometimes if you are focusing, understanding the issue, that understanding is that how it needs to be understood properly. That is also important. Theory building is a separate thing. If it is not necessarily that every paper should have a kind of theoretical component. Not necessary. This is what I feel. Sometimes also you can publish a paper without referring to any theory, and if you are trying to, your analysis is first of its kind, or it's a kind of a new data set you have, and if for the first time you have studied it and nobody else has, a substantial analysis has not been done the way you have done, so you can publish as it is without referring to theory. And theory you can relate it to the later stage when you publish another paper or rework on that, you can link it with the theory. It's not like that. In the beginning, actually, don't come to theory.
Okay, sir. Okay. But in some thesis, it is required. That's why I'm asking you.
Actually, I'll tell you, actually, there is no time. I have to leave now. many students also they come, sir, this is the thing I have done, which theory I will apply? Where should I apply theory? Somebody will say that that you have done this thing, that why have not you brought Foucault? Why have you not brought Foucault, Derrida, or Habermas, or something like that, Marx, Weber? So all these things actually, it depends on nature of your research, what you are doing. And if you are doing a piece of research which is entirely new and which has a kind of is a exploratory kind of research which is very substantially different and new, it does not require a kind of theoretical component in the beginning. You can publish itself as it is with a kind of a proper analysis and proper style and proper format. So then it will be published. Afterwards, you can think of linking with theory or something like that you can do.
Okay, sir.
It's not like that. You can see many papers in, for example, Economic Political Weekly, and in many journals also, World Development, many journals are there, where not necessarily they talk of actually theory. Many development schemes, government schemes also they evaluate. Many other kind of narratives also they make them analyze. But that doesn't mean that all the time you necessarily link with the theory in the beginning. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Professor Mohanty shall be close, no? Because your time is at 7.
Yeah, I have actually
Maybe
another
there
meeting.
are 4 more days. They can have enough chances to interact with the experts.
Yeah, okay. Actually, they can do it. Or they can send me the questions. I will be happy to
Okay,
respond.
if there are other questions also, you can send it to me. I'll get more clarifications. Maybe
One more important question I can take if anybody has brief.
Okay, if anybody is interested, you can ask one more question.
Sir, why it takes a number of months to publish a paper in Sociological Bulletin?
Sorry. Can you repeat?
Sir, why it takes the number of months, a lot of times to publish a paper in Sociological Bulletin?
You submit it to any journal, it will take not less than 1 year to process. Because we have to, when we get the paper, we have to read it, and if we find that it is interesting, then we'll send to the reviewer. Reviewer will ask you for revision. Then you have to revise. Then resubmit again. It will go to reviewer and it will be published. No good paper is published without revision. Anybody submits a paper to a good journal, it goes for revision. 100% it will go for revision. Most likely it will go for revision. So it takes time, about a year. Once the paper is accepted, it will be in the queue and it will be published. It may take another 6 months to be published. But the whole process will take 1 year to get acceptance. It usually it may take little less time. So that happens. So I think I will leave. I have to join.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you, Professor
okay.
Mohanty,
Thank you,
for
sir.
your
Thank you.
valuable presentation
After
today
long
evening.
time,
No, I'm joining.
through
1
online.
minute. Hello. Yeah, I'm joining. Yes, I'm joining because I was.
Thank you so much, sir.
Presentation, yes.
Martipatti, sir. Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste.
After long time, we saw you through online. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mohanty
Professor
sir.
Mohanty, for your valuable
Thank you.
presentation
Thank you
today
so
this
much.
evening.
Thank you so much, sir.
In spite of your busy
Very
schedule,
good.
you have given very valuable time to us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.